Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico. It is Monday, November 2nd. Right now, they are only selling about 1,000 tickets into the caves. There are no guided tours, it's just the self-led tours, but we have our National Park Pass, so we were able to get our tickets for free. So now we're gonna venture out and explore the caves. So we're here at the visitor center. I believe the way that we go is we take this trail to the natural entrance. You come down, you follow the blue line until it connects with the red, which is the big room trail. You follow that around the cavern, and then you take the elevator back up.
Keep that. That's good for 3 days. So you're going to be descending 75 stories via 60 switchbacks. It takes about 45 minutes to get there. So you're looking at 2.5 to 3 hours. While you're in the cave, please stay on the trail at all times, and please do not be tempted to touch the formations that are within reach, because the oils in your skin will stain it permanently.
We've just started the switchbacks down into the natural entrance of the caves. There's about 60 or 67 of them that you have to go through until you get down to the main part of the cave. We have now entered into the cavern. There are some low spots in the ceiling, so we're just gonna have to be mindful as we go to just watch our heads so that we don't bonk them. When we stop for these brief moments to take in the scenery and look around the caverns that we're in, you can hear the water dripping. And as you know, the water is, I think, kind of like the main driving force for a lot of these caves to help with the growth of the stalagmites and the stalactites. So it's interesting to just put your listening ears on and hear the cave being made. The sign here says that we are now traveling from light to dark. So we're going to lose the natural light that comes in from the opening of the cave, and without the assistance of lights that they've placed here in the cave, it would be pitch black and you would be unable to see anything. We have a map with us, but without kind of markers and really knowing where we are here in the cave, you're kind of just guessing. But I think this is our first kind of stop, or our first viewing point, Devil's Spring. So if we had walked a couple more feet, we would have found a sign that says this is indeed Devil's Springs. An interesting fact about it is that it's not actually fed by a natural spring. The pool of water that is located here is simply fed by the waters that are dropping down from the ceiling. There's some fog or humidity that's kind of built up here in the cave, and you can see it reflecting off of the lights. The other piece of information is the echo. The ranger did warn us coming in to make sure to talk in library voices, because it's a big echo chamber and people can hear what you're saying.
So throughout the cave trail, they have what they call Cave Watch, and it's just basically like an emergency phone where you can notify the rangers of any activity that you see that's not safe. Then also on here, just it tells you where your location is too. So this one happens to be Taffy Hill.
So you're encouraged to wear long sleeves or a jacket when you enter in the cave. Year-round, it maintains about a 56-degree consistency, pulling in even the warmer air from up top and the cooler air mix, but it stays about that standard 56 degrees throughout the cave.
Though you really can't see it right here, all of those are like the really narrow switchbacks.
face got crushed. You have kind of his ear there, and then this part of his face got crushed. And here's his mouth like, "Urgh." And then his eyes here. He's making kind of a face. So Iceberg Rock is right behind us. It is a 200,000-ton boulder that fell and split from the ceiling. We're going to get a much closer look, although it probably won't look quite the same when we're next to it. But after a few more switchbacks, we get to walk right alongside of it.
So from the top area, you can only see the top of the iceberg rock, but it continues all the way down this one, all the way past to where the camera can see. And this is us going underneath the iceberg rock.
The path we've been following is a self-led walking tour, but there are tours that you can purchase at the caves when it's operating at full capacity or normal capacity. And I think this is one of the entrances to one of those ranger-led tours for the Green Lake Room. Here in the cave, mostly going down for switchbacks. We've had a few ups now that we've had to do, but I think we might be nearing the end of the natural trail and getting to the start of the big room. Before we started the big room trail, we took a little detour, and the area behind us looks like it's actually a visitor center here in the cave, and I think it's also an eating area. It's closed right now, so it's very interesting looking, all dark and kind of shuttered up. You know, having full amenities down here, you'd never know that you were in a cave 75 stories underground. Time to start the big room trail tour. This way. So we are here at the start. The sign says the tour is about 1.3 miles and the average length of time is about an hour to an hour and a half. We will likely be closer to the hour and a half time frame. So we're here, and then the path we're going to follow takes us down, around, and then we come back to the elevators for exit. So hopefully I'm not mistaking my facts, but the big room cave that we're currently standing in, I believe, is the largest cavern in North America. The only cavern bigger than it is somewhere in another country, but from what I'm recalling, I want to say it's like 1,800 feet wide at one point and 1,100 feet tall. Hopefully I remember that correctly, but if not, I think I got pretty close. So this section is actually called Fairyland, although I still think Christmas Tree Land is a little bit better. So for us, it's Christmas Tree Land.
The ceilings here are really neat looking.
stalactites so far, or even in other caves, that the entire tour, the whole 1.3 miles that we do, is actually all in the big room. So when we were talking about that earlier, how it's the biggest cavern, underground cavern, now we really get to see the whole immense size of it. At first we thought it was just towards the entrance, but we've made our way along and read some of the signs. We realized that the entire tour for this is actually in what's called the big room. There's a ladder that just kind of leads into the abyss, but I'm guessing that when you first started exploring this cave, whenever it was discovered, that's how they did it. I can't even imagine what it would have been like to find a little crack in the earth, crawl inside, and then, you know, find this and the other rooms that make up this cave system. So this area looks a little bit like uncooked fat, like when you get a steak out and you're grilling it, but you haven't quite rendered that fat yet. That's what that is.
This is a very unique pattern in the ground here. There's no signs or anything, so I'm not exactly sure what causes this formation, but it is pretty interesting. This is another interesting formation here along the trail. It almost looks like petrified wood. I would highly doubt that it is, but it actually looks just like petrified wood. Alright, we're having a debate about what this looks like in the center there. I think it looks like a dragon. You can see its head, its chest, and then its two hands up like in front, and then
I think it looks like a samurai warrior with the old like masks and stuff on. So tell us what you think in the comments below. So our samurai dragon is actually called Rock of Ages. I think our descriptions are better. Our handy sign says we have 10 minutes till we reach the elevators.
here we are at a little pool of water that they have lit for us. And in the water you can see it rippling from all the drops of water that are coming from the ceiling.
Up with the Carlsbad Caverns. All in all, I want to say we were probably underground for about 3 hours or so. So a lot to do, a lot of walking down in there. You know, some parts that are very exciting, I think, just because of what you're able to see, the formations, and then other parts that aren't as well lit or just more kind of rocks that have fallen. So I don't want to say dull because that sounds bad because you're, you know, in this giant cavern underground, but there definitely are some highlights throughout it. And then we got our sticker and our patch. So we are set for Carlsbad Caverns. See you on the next adventure.